Hi, I'm Colin Keegan, Product Marketing Manager from Veeam Software, and joining me today is Michael Wilkie. Michael is a Solutions Marketing Manager from NetApp. Michael, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Colin.
So Michael, one of the things I wanted to talk about is copy data management.
Right.
And one really interesting example of that is a company called Apex Tool Group. They were featured in the IDC research white paper that talks about the business value of Veeam and NetApp. And what it's allowing them to do is to save their application developers literally hundreds of man hours per year. And just wanted to get your take on what we're doing from an integration perspective to enable that.
Well, certainly copy data management is very important, and our integration with Veeam, and particularly with ONTAP, allows us to do so much from the perspective of not only creating lots of snapshots space efficiently, but then to replicate those snapshots using SnapMirror or FlexClone to serve up as copies for any number of different use cases. It could be for test dev, it could be for analytics, but it basically frees up that data very quickly to be able to be used elsewhere in the business to drive agility. I don't know, can you think of any other use cases where you're seeing copy data management?
Absolutely. So I mean, coming back to Apex, I think what we're seeing is them using NetApp snapshots with FlexClone to break off the snapshot and basically provision a new copy of that data for their developers. And then what Veeam Data Labs does is basically rebuild the production environment on the fly, right? And now their developers have an isolated copy of data to test on, and it's very fast. So I think that's what's saving them all this time. And that's one of the issues we sometimes see is that IT oftentimes gets a black eye because they're not able to do things really quickly. So from one standpoint, that gives IT the ability to be a lot more agile. But to answer your question, sure, let's talk about simplified DR testing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it oftentimes takes a lot of time to actually just coordinate
Great
the
example.
activities to build a production environment up. Another one is ransomware. So you may remember at the beginning of this year, we released a feature called Safe Restore. So again, using Veeam Data Labs with NetApp snapshot copies, building that isolated environment, we can actually go through all the backup images that sit on the Veeam backup repository and actually, with our integration with antivirus software, start scanning those backup images to see when the last clean copy of data was before the ransomware event hit.
Right.
And so that speeds up the recovery process. And I think it's all about automation, right? We want to make things simpler.
Well, simpler and more efficient. Obviously, we could probably think of more use cases where you could use those secondary copies. If the secondary storage is ONTAP, and we're creating all those copies, we're doing that very efficiently. So that allows us to, bring that agility to the business without having to worry about how much storage we're consuming. But to your point about automation, it's all about the simplicity, right? It's all about being able to set policies so that you can have all this stuff happening on the fly. You can keep the provisions around, snapshots around as long as you need to before you expire them. So all that can happen, without a lot of administration. From people that used to have to worry a lot about, where all those secondary copies were going and how much storage they were being consumed.
Great, thanks, Michael.
You bet.
And if the listeners want to actually look at the white paper, we have that sitting on the Veeam and NetApp Digital Hub, and you can go in there and look at all the use cases and what the results were for our customers that are leveraging copy data management from Veeam and NetApp. Thanks for joining us today.